Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Mick and I am here today because the very kind folks at STL Tones have asked me to show you this month's AmpHub update. This month, STL is giving us two brand new bass preamp pedals, the Obsidius Modern 3001, inspired by the Dark Glass B3K V1 pedal, and the Obsidius Vintage, inspired by the Dark Glass Vintage Microtubes pedal. The update also includes two brand new bass cabinets, the Even 410B, inspired by the Eden 410 XL cab, and the Gall K Reflex 410B, inspired by the Gallion Kruger 410 RBH cabinet. Today I'll be using my Sterling Sub 4 with the EMG MMTW bass pickup and the ABQ preamp. This is plugged into my Countryman Type 85 DI box that runs directly into my UAD Apollo Twin interface. As a guitar player who primarily plays bass for the purpose of my own home recordings, I'm excited to plug in and check these out. So without further ado, let's check out this month's AmpHub update. The Obsidius 3001 is STL's take on the Dark Glass B3K V1 pedal. This pedal is designed to tackle thick, heavy tones and is perfect for the modern metal landscape. So under the features we have level, this is how much of the input signal you want to push into the pedal. Drive, how much of the overdrive or distortion you want to add. Blend, choose how much of the pedal's character you want to blend into the signal. Under the attack switches we have flat for a more neutral sound, boost, a sharp mid and presence boost to help add clarity and aggression to your tone, and then cut, a gentle mid cut to help clean up the mid-range of your tone. Under the grunt switches, we have fat. This adds lows and low mids to help thicken up your sound. Thin for a more subdued low end and cleaner mid range, and raw for a more unfiltered sound. I'm using the pedal directly into the Ignite Amps TPA2 power amp and then using the Gall K Reflex cab with the MD4212 as my impulse responsive choice to start with. Okay, so as soon as we open up the pedal, the level and drive are at unity, the blend is all the way up, the attack is at boost, and the grunt is on fat. Let's see what this sounds like. Let's try something a little bit cleaner. Move this to cut, this to thin. We'll push the drive just a little bit to compensate and maybe a little bit more level, but let's pull the blend back a hair. You can tell that cleans up pretty nicely. Let's try something a little bit heavier. Put the blend back up. Let's reset this. Put this to attack to boost, the grunt to raw. Let's really crank the drive up. Play something a little bit more modern. Let's check out the Vintage. Just like its modern counterpart, the Obsidius Vintage has the same level, drive, and blend layout. However, the main feature that sets this pedal apart is the era function. This works in conjunction with the drive knob to shape the character of the drive setting. Dial it back to get the more warm, tape-saturated mid-range of the 70s, up the middle to get the growl and punch of the 80s, or crank it way up to get the clean and tight attack of the 90s and early 2000s era. Again, I'm using the pedal directly into the Ignite Amps TPA2 power amp, and then using the Even XL cab with the MD4212 as my impulse responsive choice to start with. Okay, so as soon as you open up the Vintage, it's much of the same thing. The level and drive are at unity, the blend is all the way up, but we do have the era knob. And let's start with something a little bit more old school. So I'm gonna push this back, kind of around this area, maybe a little hotter than that, around 3. And bump up the drive a little bit. We get more of that kind of a fuzz sound. You can kind of dig into it a little bit too. If you're going for more old school, you probably want to lay back a little bit. Maybe something a little bit more Sabbath-like. Let's go up the middle for a little bit more of that 80s sound. Keep that over here and push the drive maybe a little back a little bit. So if we push the arrow knob up quite a bit, and then back the drive down, we can get something of that kind of 90s-ish early Tool sound. Something like that. So I have a track that I'm working on, and I want to see how this new plugin sits in my track. So I'm doing something that is sort of progressive metal-ish, not anything in the modern sense, but I need something that is definitely overdriven, distorted, that has a good amount of presence, and has some room in the lower mids. So starting off, I've got the Obsidius Modern 3001. I am using the blend knob maxed out. Level is at unity, the drive is boosted, the attack is on boost, and the grunt is on raw. I'm going into the Ignite Amps Graviton with some minor altercations here. In the cabinet setting, I've got the Gall-K Reflex, but the 421 is kind of pushed out to the outside to make it a little bit warmer. And I've got it blended slightly with this 410 Even XL, but the 421 is right where the dust cap meets the cone. And then I'm going into an EQ pedal where I've dropped the sub lows a little bit, boosted some of the more notey lows in the low end, scooped out some of the low mids. I've got a little bit of a boost in this 1 to 2K area, but then I'm sloping back down from 4 to 8K with a little bit of boost in the 16K just for that kind of sizzle and saturation. Let's see what this sounds like. So it's definitely got a lot of presence. It might be a little too harsh, if anything, but that's something I can play with later. For now, I just kind of want to get going, so let's see what it sounds like with the other instruments. Currently, I've just got some programmed drums as well as a couple guitar tracks laid down. So I'm fairly happy with that. I definitely think that the sounds so far are a good fit for my playing style, and this is something I could see myself using well into the future. With some more time and maybe a little bit of elbow grease, I could probably, get those super high-end transients under control. Part of it might even just be my pick, my playing, who knows. But, a little compression here and there never hurt anybody, especially on bass. But yeah, so far, this plugin's great. I'm stoked. That's it for this month's update. Be sure to update your AmpHub subscription so that you can have access to these fantastic new pedals and cabs. If you have not yet, head on over to stltones.com to subscribe to AmpHub and get access to some of the finest in analog modeling for all your guitar and bass software needs. Thank you for watching, happy jamming, look out for future updates, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.